Hey guys, welcome to this week's Lani chat. Dude, this is like the secret nugget weapon. We are talking this week about how to be happier, what to focus on, how to change your beliefs and your mindset, and the things that you can do to make you live a happy, fulfilling life. I know how it feels to be dark in the rabbit hole, but I'm going to tell you it's much easier to get charge of that monster when he is little tiny Lego size than when he was super gigantic King Kong size. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the videos, and let's get started. Hello. So we are talking about being happy because this is the human condition. This is what we all say that we want, but this is not what we all practice in our daily lives. In order to be happy, the mind has to be at ease, because if we have all the money and if we have a perfect body and if we have the perfect partner, if our mind is not at ease, then we're miserable. I get it. I know how it feels to not be happy. I know how it feels to want to scratch your skin off. I know how it feels to go back to old habits and old patterns just because they're comfortable. So I'll just share a little bit about where I came from in my story and how I was feeling in the past, and then brings me to how I'm feeling today. I grew up in a really chaotic childhood. My parents did the best, but they had 4 kids by the time they were 26. We were super poor. We lived in government housing. We had food stamps, and the neighborhood was not, we weren't all focusing on spiritual enlightenment and growing. We were all poor, and it was like a really negative, sucking. We had fun and we played, but it wasn't like we got to focus on our higher needs, because a lot of times, we were just trying to get money for food, and we were just trying to get money for clothes. My dad worked super hard. He was always gone before I woke up, and he got home after I went to bed. So my family worked really, really hard. It was busy, it was loud, it was dirty, and my parents were young. So it was like survival mode. It was like, dude, just let's make it out alive. Because I was so used to chaos, um, because it was comfortable. And here's the thing we have to remember: just because it's comfortable doesn't mean we like it. And it's like when we talk to people that are doing the same things, like for instance, for abusive relationships, I was in some abusive relationships emotionally, and the last relationship I was in was the most abusive, and I would like lay there in the middle of the night and like pray to God like Jenny from Forrest Gump and be like, just get me out of here. I don't know how I got in this. I'm scared, I'm hurting, I'm miserable, I feel trapped, I don't have any money, he has control of all the money, I don't have a car, I am in a foreign country, I don't have any family, and it was hard to make friends because he was so controlling and so jealous and always wanted to know where I was. So for me or anyone to say that I chose that isn't totally correct, because choice insinuates that we have a really high connection to consciousness, that we are really grounded and we are choosing. Now, on a subconscious level, yeah, sure, these patterns, basically, it's like a self-sabotage button. Like, I was doing amazing before this. I was making the most money that I'd ever made in my life. I was like growing my business. I was starting to make an impact. My social media accounts were growing. I was really getting notes and letters and connecting to women saying, oh my God, you're speaking to me. Like, if you can do this, I can do this. You're living your dreams, so I can live my dreams. And then I hit this self-sabotage button. It's like, oh God, secretly, like, you don't deserve this, uh, you can't be too happy. It's not going to last for that long. I always had this secret mantra that was like, feast or famine. It's either really good and amazing and I'm thriving, or it's horrible. And I always had these stories like, I can't trust men. Um, all the good ones are taken. I'm getting too old. I live on an island where everybody just wants to party. I had a whole bunch of stories that always fed the behaviors that I wasn't fixing, because I had an excuse and I had a story. So where we put our energy and our thoughts, what we focus on, actually becomes our reality. So people's reality, I love when they're like, it's a fact. I'm like, it's your opinion. Like, it's my opinion. It's not a fact. The way you see the world is your opinion, and that's what you choose to focus on. So I love giving the example, the things that we're most afraid of, when we focus on them, we create this huge momentum in this reality and they come true. I remember the first time I realized this, I was, 23, and I was working at a restaurant, and there was this woman trainer who was a waitress, and she was so mean, like literally like Mrs. Trenchbull mean from Matilda. Like everybody was super scared of her. She was older than all of us. She was so angry and had the biggest chip on her shoulder, and she was really mean. This time I'm like a total people pleaser. I'm that good girl syndrome that I want to take care of everybody and please everybody. So already I had like major issues because I was like, oh my God, she doesn't like me. And my whole identity came from making people happy and people liking me. So already I was already starting off on the short stick. Already she didn't like me. She didn't like anybody or anything. So I was being trained as a server, and I was so scared of her. She was being so mean. I was so scared of her, and all I kept thinking is, don't mess up. Don't mess up. At one point, like my hand was shaking when I was getting the drinks. She was being a dick. I was in training, and she sat me like eight tables at once. I don't know if you've ever been a server, but I like still have server nightmares. I mean, you're not even supposed to double seat anybody, which makes them get 2 tables at a time. She like sat me 8 tables at a time just to watch me squirm, just to watch me freak out. I'm in training, still learning the menu, still learning the computer system. I'm freaking out. She's like yelling at me, telling me to hurry up. I'm like, dude, you just sat me 8 tables. I'm trying to get a drink order. So I go over to get drinks, and I'm just like, don't mess up. Don't mess up. I'm so afraid. I don't want to disappoint her. I freaking drop a glass because I'm so scared, and all I'm focusing on is what I don't like. I don't want to mess up. I slit my wrist. I wonder if you can see. Yeah, still got a scar. I slit my wrist with a glass, and then the entire glass, ice where we fill up drinks, was filled with glass, which means now everybody's effed up because now we have to empty it. The buster has to come over. All the glass has to get out because, hello, it's in the ice thing. You can't have glass in the ice thing. So she is yelling at me. My thing is split open. I'm bleeding. We have 8 tables because she said me 8 tables just to be a dick. And I had to go get stitches. I had to go to the emergency room. And I was like, holy shit. I was so scared to mess up that I did the biggest mess up that was like possible. This is like one of the worst things like that can happen at a restaurant, because it's not like I was a UFC fighter. It wasn't like I was like driving deadly race cars. So I would actually inspire you to think of a time that you were so afraid and so scared to death, and you focused on that, and it actually became a reality. The thing that you were the most afraid of is the thing that you focused on, and that's what happened. Now that we're clear on what happens when we focus on things that we don't want, there has to be a shift in believing that we actually can be happy. So all those negative thoughts, all the times we failed in the past, all the people that told us we couldn't do it, all the times that we wanted something and didn't get it, all the times that we felt attacked and picked on, all the times we didn't have the money, and all the times we compared ourselves to other people and they were better. We've just strengthened all these bridges in our mind. So the mind is full of all these negative bridges that are rock solid, because however old you are, for me, 36 years, I haven't done that for all my years because, hello, I want to be happy, so I'm doing the freaking work to shift what I focus on. But all those years that we're thinking about it, we have these strong-ass bridges that no earthquakes can rock them, tornadoes can't bring them down. It doesn't matter if there's an asteroid, storm coming. They are so strong because that is what we have given our power to. So I am going to inspire you to decide if you really want to be happy. And you might say, oh, yeah, sure, yeah. Okay, well, I want you to think and be quiet for a couple minutes. And do you really want to be happy? Because what are you doing right now that is making your life better, that is giving you less anxiety, that is feeding your peace, your strengths, your gifts, making you feel strong every day, getting out of your comfort zone, growing physically, growing spiritually, growing intellectually? What are you actually doing? And just go ahead and make a list. And we can just even do today, because it's crystal clear where we put our energy and what we're feeding. So if you make a list and the top of your list is like, oh yeah, every time I went to McDonald's 3 times a day. I watched like this horrible horror movie, and like I got anxiety because I went in my bank account and then I went on Instagram and I saw all the things that I want and don't have and all the places that I want to go and I can't, and I realized that I don't have any money. What are the things that you're doing right now in your life? And how many of those things are leading to happiness? So a person who feels happy shows the work, right? If we look at somebody's list, they're like, I woke up, I did some like positive breathing and mantras, whatever. I understand that like the mantras and the meditation's not everybody's thing, but I will tell you that every single person that I've ever looked up to, whether they were a business role model or a spiritual role model or a yoga role model or anybody that I ever looked up to that was a role model that had things that I wanted, good things, and a life full of love and happiness, meditates. So have a second think about all the stories that we have about all the meditations. What else the list might look like? I did a workout, I hung out in nature, I read a book, I had a delicious healthy juice, what are all the positive things? I surfed, I played an instrument, I'm learning a new language. I would really inspire you to be super honest with yourself, because the times when I felt like I wanted to scratch my skin off, even though really shitty things happened to me, even though I was in a severely abusive marriage and I didn't have anywhere to go, but my dad would have bailed me out in a second. What really happened is I didn't want to admit that I wasn't good enough, which is what happens in a victim's head when they get divorced, right? I mean, yeah, sure, abusive people attract givers, and I'm compassionate, and so that's part of the attraction and the thing. And but when we need to be needed and need to be loved, that's the kind of people that we attract. I needed to fix people. This came from a long time ago when I always wanted to help everybody and I always wanted to fix people, and I created this pattern that I'm not good enough unless I'm helping somebody, and then I found myself empty and at the bottom and hurt and broke and afraid and lonely and feeling like I had to start over and like, oh my God, I'm too old, or I'm a yoga teacher who's going to come to my classes if I'm divorced. Because that's something that I felt that I had to push down and disconnect from and show this like really strong face. So when you like show up to work, when you have dinner with your family, when you're having a conversation with your partner, are you putting on this face because all day you did nothing to feed your happiness and you're putting on this strong face, or you're complaining about everything you don't have, but you look back at your list and realize that you haven't done anything to be happy, then all you are is a complainer, right? And I get it, because I was a really big complainer, and don't think that I still don't go there. I love to, instead of taking responsibility when I feel afraid that I'm going to fail, when I'm feeling threatened or triggered, it's like the first thing I want to do is blame somebody else for my problems. But we don't sustain happiness that way. We're always fighting and pushing, and it's exhausting. You can't push a 200-pound rock. For how long can you push that, right? When we're always trying to blame other people and control all the things and not taking responsibility for our stuff. So we have a couple ways to be happy. I've also just done a yoga class, and I love moving the body. I mean, our indigenous ancestors did this. They danced. They all had the rhythm. They used their body to change their mood, right? Lift the energy. When we see people that aren't happy, it's like you can see it in the slumped shoulders. Could just feel it. So when we can just shift that and move our body, that right there is such an easy, simple way. Like, are you adding that in the morning in your routine, or are you going on Instagram, frying your brains on the machines, blaming everybody for everything that's happened? We need to take responsibility for happiness. Happiness is not luck. It's not like, oh, they have money, they had a good childhood, they're skinny, because guess what? I had a really traumatic childhood. There's a lot of times that I've been fat in my life, and now I'm happy, and now I'm so strong in my body and so connected, and it doesn't feel like work. I remember like just thinking the other day, like, wow, that's when we really make it, when it's not hard, when it's that flow. Like, I don't work out 8 hours a day, but I have a really strong body, and I'm almost 37, and I feel fitter than I ever have. I feel sexier. Like, I feel like a badass. And I don't work out 8 hours a day. I've just sustained this momentum. I had these for a lot of years, positive routines. I exercised, I ate healthy, and it's sustaining in a really easy way. It's like, not happiness isn't like this pushing this 200-pound rock, like being in an abusive marriage because we don't want to be alone, shoving everything down because we don't want to look weak, or complaining all the time to everybody about poor me. Those are all the same thing as pushing that rock. Happiness is a flow, and it's easy. It's easy to be grateful. It's easy to be, stoked in the moment when we're doing these positive things, when we're feeding this awesome routine, when we have these great rituals in the morning that make us feel really good. So first, I want you to ask yourself, do you really want to be happy? Because your actions are going to answer that for you. You might say yes, but you'd be lying to me. Your actions, what you've done, what you spend most of your time doing, where you put most of your energy, that's the answer. Anyone can say anything, right? But it takes us to do the work, to show up, to make positive changes and make things habits. All right. So check out the yoga class to move your body and get into it that way. If you like this video, please hit the like button, leave any comments, I'll answer you there. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can get all the Lani chats. All right, have a good day, guys. Bye.